And welcome to our live chat. Hello, happy Friday. We've made it. Congratulations, we're here together sharing this space. Thank you for joining us today. As you are joining in, we're going to give a couple of minutes to have people let us know where you're coming from. I love seeing all of familiar names, new names, as we gather here to learn more about snow leopards. So I think this is our 8th live chat, which is amazing. We're going to have to stop saying the number because we're just keep going. So welcome again. Please let us know where you're coming from today, where you're joining us from. And also, if you have a topic that we haven't covered yet that you have been waiting to hear, please let us know that as well in the comments as we're building out the schedule. We'd love to cover things that you have been wanting us to talk about. So we're excited to be here with you today. Let me just give a couple more minutes, so feel free again, comment where you're coming from and what topic you might like us to cover in the future. I also wanted to mention that we have a bit of breaking news that will come at the end of this live chat that includes a call to action, which I'm really excited to share with you. So please hang on for that, and we will talk more about that in just a little bit here. We have Varpu from the Netherlands. Hello, welcome. That's a familiar name. I always love seeing that pop up. Razia from Bloomington, Indiana. It's amazing, thank you. It's so exciting to see people come from all over the globe and share this space with us. We really are truly grateful. So I think we'll go ahead and dive in. We have Carmen from South Africa. Hi, Carmen. My name is Marissa Naranjan, and I'm the Deputy Director here at the Snow Leopard Trust. We are broadcasting again from Seattle, Washington in our office, surrounded by plush, and also from Amherst, Massachusetts. And we have Liz scenes here in Seattle, Washington, or Kirkland actually, and then Coast Tube, of course, in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, making all of this magic happen behind the scenes. So again, a global effort to come here and be with you all today. And we really hope that this finds everybody healthy and well. So speaking of being well, today we're going to discuss one of our ecosystem health programs, which aims to enhance community tolerance for snow leopards through improving their livelihoods. Through this highlighted program, this is achieved through protecting livestock against major diseases, creating a participatory community-based veterinary services available at the community doorsteps. Its overall conservation strategy is premised on institutional, technical, and financial aspects of sustainability and relies on strong local organizations and trained community-based livestock workers in animal health and husbandry practices. A review of the program in existing sites reveals that at least 50% reduction in disease-caused mortalities and overall positive impact of the livestock health and productivity on community well-being without increase in stocking rates. Consequently, there was no expansion of grazing lands, neither any killing of predator and its prey. So we're talking a little bit today about our livestock vaccination program in Pakistan. And to dive into this topic, I'm beyond thrilled to share the screen today with my esteemed colleague, Dr. Ali Nawaz. Dr. Nawaz has his PhD in ecology and an experience of over 20 years in the field of wildlife research and conservation. He has established a snow leopard program in Pakistan, which is a partnered initiative between the Snow Leopard Trust, the Federal Ministry of Climate Change, the provincial wildlife departments, and local communities. Through introduction of innovative measures that buffer against livestock losses and increased tolerance, the program is reducing human-wildlife conflict. The Snow Leopard program has also generated unprecedented scientific information on the unique ecosystem of the Northern Mountains through the state-of-the-art research tools. In recognition of Dr. Nawaz's efforts to protect the endangered snow leopard in the mountains of northern Pakistan, HRH The Princess Royal presented him the 2016 Whitley Award, a prestigious international nature conservation prize. So please help me in welcoming Dr. Nawaz. It's an honor to be here with him. I can truly say that he is a walking human encyclopedia. He knows so much, and we're so grateful that he leads our efforts in Pakistan with our wonderful team there, as well as just the leadership within our organization. So thank you for being here. Ali, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and can't wait to hear more about this program.
Thank you so much, Marisa, for a very nice introduction of me and as well the issue I'm going to discuss today. And hello, everyone. So today, this is as Marisa has explained. This is a series of talk explaining snow leopard conservation issues and different initiatives that the trust has been taking in different range countries. And every one of us, we love this species. This is pride for the 12 nations of the Asia, and it is symbol of this high Asian mountains, and and it is the species that's loved by people across the world. But at the same time, we know very well that the species is dependent on conservation efforts in order to survive, and the challenges and the species behavior ecologies, this all sort of issues are quite complex. So people have been thinking about some innovative solutions. They have tested different things in different part of the range in order to come up with some agreed upon tools to save this animal. So one of this tool that we tested in Pakistan is a vaccination program, which we call ecosystem health program. So I'm going to explain today is how we can actually save snow leopard by injecting some drug to livestock. This sounds interesting, and sometimes people, they wonder what is the connection between drug, livestock, and snow leopards. But there's obviously very strong connection. So before moving on to this connection, let me introduce with the ecosystem which we are working with. And this case study is particularly from Pakistan. So we are talking about the snow leopard ecosystem in Pakistan, which is the northern part of Pakistan, which is very interesting area, a unique area, a confluence of four mighty mountainous ranges of the world. On the west, we have this Hindu Kush range, bordering with Afghanistan, and then we have the Pamir range on the north, extending into the Central Asia, and the southeastern part, we got this Karakoram range, and then the eastern southern part, we have western extent of the Himalayan range. So as it appears from the ranges, these are really high mountains ranging from like 2,000 meters to up to 8,000 meters of elevational profile, which is awesome. And with such elevational profile, you cannot expect a single habitat. So there's a diversity of the habitats in this area, ranging from the upper ranges of polar desert to the productive alpine meadows, and below that you have certain patches of the forest, and you have steppe areas, again the productive areas, and scrub vegetation, and the valley. These areas are more kind of a grasslands and rivers and so on. And with this kind of diversity of the habitats and valuation profile, we also experience a diversity of species. There are hundreds of plant species and hundreds of bird species, and even for mammals, there are over 100 mammalian species, making more than 60% of the mammalian fauna of the country. And for example, in this area, which is about 100,000 square kilometer, you have congregation of 18 carnivore species and 10 wild aggregate species. And how they coexist, because they occupy different niches, different habitats, different elevational gradient, and on top of them we have our this iconic species, the snow leopard, which is theoretically believed as the agent of regulating the whole this ecosystem. So this is kind of a natural introduction of the area, but more to that, we also know this area is not very well secluded. There are 4 to 5 million people which are living there, and mostly they are dependent on the natural resources of the area. And they are agro-pastoral. Major resource of their livelihood and income is land. livestock. Livestock provide them, of course, a meat, milk, and meat-related products, but also that is a source of cash income. Our surveys indicate approximately 10% of the livestock holdings each community sell every year to get some disposable income to meet their initial and fundamental family needs. And we understand when we are dealing with an ecosystem where there's a livestock and the people are dependent on livestock earning and they have predators in the neighborhood, then the conflict between the farmers and the predators in the form of livestock predation is unavoidable. And this is a phenomenon in northern Pakistan as well. This map is showing overall spread of incidences of livestock depredation cases in the snow leopard habitat, and we see these are everywhere. But of course, the intensity is not uniform. Here, the purple color, this brown color is showing uh, livestock depredation by snow leopard of the small ruminants like sheep and goat, and the red color is showing of the cattle killing by the snow leopards. And we see there are some areas where this conflict is more intensified as compared to others, but overall we see on average families are losing 0.5 to 4 animals per year to these predation issues. And this spread is sometimes not uniform. And it gets more intensified. Look at this, case study. This is a traditional corral where people keep their livestock. This is from one area in the Khudrab National Park in northern Pakistan. And this area, just 2 weeks back, a family of snow leopard, a female with her cubs, they raided the corral, and in a single night they killed more than 70 livestock. So this whole phenomena then creates, of course, a sense of fear in the people, and they consider these are predators, including snow leopard, wolf, and lynx, and other predators which live in this area, very dangerous, and it whole reduces their acceptance in the community. So this is overall the predation is of course arguably, and this is an established threat to the livelihood of people across the snow leopard range and even the rest of the world as well, where farmers and the predators live together. But there is one another phenomena which is generally overlooked, that is prevalence of diseases in these ecosystems. And what we know is there are several diseases which are there in this ecosystem, and they are killing livestock. For example, in cattle, we have foot and mouth disease, there's backwater, and in goat sheep, we have pneumonia, we have PPR, and we have, you know, a manja scabies disease, which is itching. You see this picture at the right side, and this is showing a case of a mange. Animals start, rubbing their bodies to different objects and start losing their hairs, and eventually they get weak and they get killed. And one study in snow leopard habitat in Pakistan showed that there's up to 15% of prevalence of this single disease, and there are several other diseases working there as well. So when these different diseases, these are contagious, and if we get to one animal, these are spread to the whole herd and maybe the whole village as well, and they can take so many livestock in a month time on overall. And what we see is the livestock loss to disease in different parts of snow leopard range is from 2 to 30 per family. On average, each family is losing 10 animals, which equates to about US dollar 1,000 uh, of their disposable income per family, which is a huge amount. And with this phenomenon, we see that then the resilience of the families to adapt and to absorb any additional losses due to predation remains very, very minimal. And if we put this perspective in relation to the disease caused mortality with predation, we see the losses to the disease caused mortality in snow leopard habitat are 5 to 10 times higher. So the major risk to the livelihood in these areas is actually disease caused mortality, not the predation. But still, people accept this predation for the major reason is lack of awareness. People don't understand mechanism of the contagious diseases. They want to treat animals when they are already sick. And for these contagious diseases, we know we need to build their immunity before disease comes to the area. And there is poor infrastructure of veterinary services.
It looks like we might have lost Ali, or the connection was frozen a little bit. So let's maybe give him a moment. I know there is a question on here about sort of how, how we're protecting snow leopards due to the multiple country borders and different, countries that we work across. And I thought I would take a minute just to mention our GSLEP program. So the Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program, which we'll link to below, but through GSLEP, we're partnering with all 12 snow leopard range countries and leaders in each of the range countries. So I'll have Liz link to that below in the comments if you want to look at that website. It has, a lot of information of different initiatives and declarations that leaders have committed to protect snow leopards as well. So if you have a minute while we're waiting to get Ali back here to look at that, that might help explain how we do. It is complicated, and working across borders is always complicated, but through building relationships across all bureaucracies, which we'll talk a little bit at the end too for our call to action, and how important that is to really instill those partnerships at a governmental level as well as a community level. So let's see here. I know this this happens. We've been really lucky with our internet. It happened one other time, and somebody had so wonderfully suggested that we have a snow leopard photo to put up and see if people could spot the snow leopard as a as an interim. I don't know if Kostub, if you have one handy on your desktop that you can maybe share the screen and show while we get Ali back. We could definitely do that. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions. A lot of these questions are definitely better suited for Ali. If anybody has questions just in general about our work, please let me know. I could I could do my best to answer anything about snow leopards in general or the work that we do. So please send those in. I see Kostub is looking for a photo right now as well. Funny, we've just been coming into our office like one day a week. So normally I would have more things lying around to show. Let's see. I do have this photo here that I can kind of show. This is a little, technology at its fittest. The snow leopard was actually from Mongolia, and you can see the 3 photos in the forefront of the picture. And then if you look up right here, there's actually two more snow leopards there looking out. You can kind of see the profile of these guys there. So this is actually, it looks like it would just be 3, but there's 5 snow leopards in this photo. And a while ago, I know there's like different different terminology for groups of animals, and we had tried to say like, what could a group of snow leopards be, since they're solitary and don't travel in groups unless it's a mother and cubs, which that photo is as well, that there wasn't really a name for a bunch of snow leopards. So we thought maybe a flurry of snow leopards would be a good name to call them. So that's caught on a little bit, which has been exciting. I'm seeing some questions about climate change come through, which we could definitely ask Dr. Nawaz when he gets back. Let's see. Any other questions, please feel free to put them through and go back to the do a few shout outs that I see here. We have John from Munich. Hi, John. Good to have you here. I see Brenda saying that she has a snow leopard tattoo on her leg, which is amazing. She posted a picture, Brenda. I'd love to see that. Let's see, we have Rahman from Pakistan. Hello. Jan from Australia. Let's see, what else do we have here? Hi, Dyat from USA. Welcome. Anne from Oregon State University, a grad student researching snow leopards, conservation, and climate change. Thank you for being here. I hope you have some good takeaways as well after this. We have Shana from Maryland, Isabel from London, Ahmad. Welcome. Dirk from Belgium. This is wonderful. Rogus from the UK. So yeah, the Snow Leopard Trust. Oh, here we go. Spot the cat. This is much better than me just talking to you here today. We'll get this up bigger on the screen and see. So a lot of too, we do, there we go. And it's interesting too, like this landscape, you know, it is really typical of snow leopard habitat. So if you, you know, would be here looking, oh yay, we have, Ali is back with us. Can you hear us, Ali?
Yeah, I hear you. So I got disconnected. I did not realize that. So when this happened?
It was, let me see the slide. It was the map that you had up. If you click through your slides, I'll tell you where you were. I think it was probably your 4th or 5th slide. Thank you all for bearing with us today. Are you able to share your screen, Ali, to get the presentation back on?
Okay, sorry. I thought it is already shared.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing you, but I don't see the presentation at this time. There we go. Yeah, and then if you click one more. Perfect. Yep, and then, yeah, sorry, one more after that. Perfect, yeah, I think if we pick up,
So this is where we lost. Shall I start from here?
I think, yeah, if you go back one more, Ali, I think it was back one more screen. And I can have Kostu confirm here. Yeah, why don't we, yeah, let's start from here. Yep, this one, please. Perfect. Right where you are. That's great. Thank you, Ali.
Yeah, I was actually explaining through this graph first. Overall, if we see the predation in relation to the disease caused mortality, the disease is 5 to 10 times more taxing to the livelihood and overall the income of the families as compared to the disease. And the reasons are obvious. There is a lack of awareness about the contagious diseases. People want to treat their animals, but they are animals. But we know for the contagious diseases, you need to build, immunity in the animals beforehand. And secondly, there is lack of veterinary services in these remote areas, and there is very expensive, sometimes even more expensive than the cost of the animals to take these animals down to the bigger towns for treatment. So overall, combine these two factors, these has has overall a huge risk for the well-being and overall income uh, of the local communities in the area. With respect to disease, we also believe there is one more important dimension that is, apart from economics, these diseases pose a huge risk to the health of the ecosystem because diseases get transferred from livestock to human and from human to livestock and then from livestock to the wildlife as well. And there are several established cases of transmission of livestock diseases to the wildlife. For example, in Pakistan, in Shimshan Valley, which is a home to the biggest population of blue sheep, they died due to mange in 1992, and that was transferred from livestock. Again, in Tajikistan, 20% of the Markhor population they lost out of pneumonia, and we also lost Markhor and Chital back in 2012 due to pneumonia, which is the source of all these diseases were livestock. And even these diseases could transfer to the carnivores, and we have one documented case of death of a snow leopard in Chicago back in 2019, and the cause was this mange disease, which is quite common in livestock in that area. So overall, our rational, the synthesis of this whole, issue is we see that disease caused mortality is causes a 60% loss of disposable income for the communities. And if there is a predation, then for a particular year, people may not have enough income to live that year. And the people are also emotionally attached to these animals. And when they lose some animal, there is emotional suffering. So all these factors combined then lead to lack of tolerance for snow leopard, and poaching becomes acceptable at large, and in some cases there are retaliatory killing as well. So the solution toward this whole issue in terms of vaccination program is, the rationale here is, if we believe if we professionally manage a vaccination program in the area, we can reduce disease caused mortality significantly, and that way people will save their livestock and it increases their resilience for predation. And since this program is linked to snow leopard education, it increases acceptance by snow leopards as well and increase productivity. Because when the animals are free of diseases, this is not just elimination of death, but also they become more healthy, they produce more milk, and overall, income of the families they got increased. And in the end, we see with the elimination of diseases in livestock, we are actually eliminated diseases in the human as well as in the overall ecosystem. And how this program works, there are some fundamental steps to follow. First step is to select an area where you want to work, and the criteria for that is you need to know whether snow leopard is there, if predation is there, and there is significance loss to the diseases in that area. And once area is identified, you go and work with the community, you organize them, you explain the program, and you make a conservation agreement with the community where you define community responsibilities in terms of protection of the habitat and responsibilities of the conservation organization in terms of providing training as well as mobilizing resources for procurement of vaccines. The third important and the most fundamental part of this program is training of what we call ecosystem health workers, which ensures sustainability of the program. What we do is we identify potential young people with the help of the community who are willing to take veterinary services as a profession. And once these are identified, we organize a professional training with respect to with some established institutions, intensive and tailor-made, which make them kind of livestock extension workers or trained veterinary personals. Once we have these trained personals in the community, we develop a vaccination calendar with the support of livestock department and veterinary institutes on the basis of prevalent diseases in the area. And following that vaccination calendar, vaccines are procured and these are administered by the ecosystem health workers, which are trained already. And as a part of this whole system, the conservation as education is a very strong component. Whenever we meet the community, you hold this vaccination campaigns, you educate on the snow leopard and ecosystem and the work of this program. In the end, you monitor the system to see how the livestock is behaving with respect to diseases, what are the predation rates in the area, and what are perceptions of the community with respect to the wildlife and with respect to the program. This program was kind of piloted back in 2001, 2003, sorry, in a small village of Kujuk, close to Chitral, and then gradually we expanded on to several other areas in following years. And today, I believe it covers a large part of the snow leopard range in Pakistan. And overall, we see if we see the statistic, currently Guam is protecting about 30,000 square kilometer of snow leopard habitat, which is about 40% of the total habitat in snow leopard. And we are vaccinating about 200,000 livestock 2 times a year against different contagious diseases. So, what we get out of it? Our monitoring data indicates that with a single year of vaccination, there is at least 50% reduction of disease caused mortality in the community. And if you maintain this program consecutively for 3 to 4 years, then there is 80 to 100% reduction in the disease mortality. And if you talk about in economic terms, then the community is saving $500 to $1,000, which was being lost uh, to these contagious diseases. And at the same time, as I explained, with a healthy livestock, there's increased meat and other products. And we have also observed once that people save more livestock from disease and they have more surplus livestock, what they do is they exchange livestock as gifts in the family and friends on marriages and other occasions. That increases, kind of a protein intake in the community, and it has a strong positive impact on the health of the young and overall the community members. If you look at the environmental benefits, we see in the areas we have been vaccinating livestock intensively, there has been zero transmission of disease incidences to wildlife, and there has been no retaliatory killing of snow leopard. Even the poaching incidences have gone significantly down. And but the predation, of course, remains in that area. And even in the face of predation, what we see, and we with the increased resilience, 90%. If you look at this graph here, the 90% of the community is willing to now uh, welcome snow leopard presence in their communities. So this is the main synthesis of the whole vaccination form. Questions are welcome.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Ali. I know we talked earlier kind of preparing for this, and you had mentioned, sometimes people hear livestock vaccination and think like, oh, well, how does vaccinating livestock affect snow leopards at all, right? That it's like two completely separate things. And then when you speak, as you did, to really how entrenched this livestock health is, domestic livestock health to wild snow leopard populations, and how truly interconnected they are, I think that's just really fascinating. So thank you for that. We have a lot of questions, so we'll get to as many as we can today, and then we'll be following up afterwards as well in the in the box. And I wanted to say a quick hello to Thomas Lynn, who's in Sweden. I just saw your name pop up, so welcome. I'm glad that you're here. There's a lot of talk on here about climate change and how that's affecting kind of the area. One from Ahmad Khan, who's asking how climate change impacts snow leopard dynamics in snow leopard range in Pakistan and how it's related to snow leopard population and depredation. And there's some other ones too that we're asking, you know, if climate change with global warming, are the grasses actually thriving, making like more fodder for the wild prey and domestic prey? So if you could talk just a little bit about climate change and maybe some things that we are doing in that arena, that would be great in Pakistan.
With the climate change and using the different, climate change scenarios, a couple of our students have done kind of a modeling how the species are going to, shift their ranges, and we have seen, kind of visible range shifts in mountain ungulates. For as far as snow leopard, what we observed is particularly the Karakoram range. It is going to be a main refugia and will remain refugia for the snow leopard. They are likely to shift a bit of their ranges upwards, but we do not anticipate as in terms of a significant loss of the habitat. Only what we believe is the threats are likely to increase because with the increase in climate change, maybe the areas in the higher elevation, they may become more available to the community for the herding or maybe for the agriculture as well. That will increase, kind of a overlap between the snow leopard movement and the communities, and it may intensify the conflicts. And there are also studies with respect to like we are talking about the diseases today, and they are showing with the increasing climate change, these bacterial and viral agents, their spread is likely to increase. So the diseases are likely to be more prevalent overall in the ecosystem, in the livestock, in the communities as well, and likely to be in snow leopards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question from Safdar John, who's asking how we get monetary support for our work and do governments provide help to the Snow Leopard Trust and our partner SLF Pakistan.
This is a good partnership initiative with the federal as well as with the provincial governments, and we work with the communities by taking provincial government is always in the discussions, and they provide all kind of necessary wherever it is needed. And for particularly for the vaccination program, we have more close liaison with the livestock departments. They are the people they actually advise on the actual diseases which are occurring in that area. They also help us in identifying the relevant vaccines. They also help us in providing those vaccines to the communities. And in those areas where we stopped working for the time, they take over and continue the program.
Yeah. Let's see, we have one from Karen who is asking, is there a problem with too many sheep and goats making like the native or the wild ungulates less able to thrive? This could cause increased predation of livestock, and how is this addressed? So sort of herd size, which I know like when I was first learning about the vaccination program, I mean, part of it too is healthier herds, right? You can have smaller herds if your herds are healthier. And don't need to sort of buffer those herds. But what is sort of done to also address herd size with communities?
There are several things which I have not explained in my presentation, but what we need to understand is when we start this program with community, we enter in a conservation agreement with them. And one clear clause in that conservation agreement is that community will not increase their stocking rates in the area. If they will save animals from the diseases, they will consume them. Either they will sell them or they will slaughter and they will utilize them. And we have monitored it during past 10 years, and we did not observe any slight change in the stocking rate. They are maintaining it.
That's great. And then I believe this was from Karen as well, was also asking, which maybe I think this was covered a bit in the presentation, but just for people who entered at different timings, maybe wondering like how we purchase the vaccines for the communities. And I know at one point, right, is there still money that like donor money or partnership money that's being put into the livestock vaccination program, or is it kind of funding itself based on having these healthier herds that are able to be used for meat and milk and everything that you had mentioned? Or do we still need to put funds into it, or is it community? Is it funded by the communities now at this point?
So we follow one economic model. So in the initial years, the whole procurement cost is borne by the conservation project. So it is sourced by the donation we receive from different partners. But at the same time, we build out, we call it vaccination fund, where every year community contributes as well as we contribute to this fund. So what we see here over the period of 4 to 5 years, we have enough money in this fund, and we actually plan to phase out from that community in 5 years. And after 5 years, community are supposed to use that funding to procure the vaccines, and paying back to the vaccine, they replenish those funds as well. We only continue monitoring and helping them procure those vaccines from the relevant organizations.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Ali. We have a question from Rosie, who is wondering, snow leopards are beautiful animals. How are the numbers? Are they going up or still going down in Pakistan? So what are the population trends that you're seeing based on our research? How is the population of snow leopards doing in Pakistan as far as we can tell?
This is very hard question to answer. Actually, counting snow leopards is a nightmare. We have been doing surveys in so many valleys in past 10 years, and we have estimates of their population only from very limited area. Based on that, we cannot, very conclusively say whether population is increasing or it is decreasing. But we know for sure that in areas where there are conservation efforts, so visibility of snow leopard is there. There are sightings, and we also through our camera trapping, we also see young ones. So snow leopards are breeding. They're roaming in this area. The population, what we believe, it is at least stable, but for sure we cannot say it is increasing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what all these efforts are doing to continue to kind of ground those numbers. I have a question of where our office is based. So we are based in Seattle, Washington. So once we're able to travel, if anybody ever finds themselves in Seattle, please let us know, reach out. We always love to show people our office and all the snow leopard photos and everything that we have here. So please definitely always reach out if you find yourself in Seattle when it is safe to move around. And Ali, we are seeing some comments kind of coming through. I know there was some news about a snow leopard that was illegally poached in Pakistan, and I just wanted to give you a moment to address that and give a statement to that. And I know that SLF also put out a statement, which we can link to below. But you and your team over many, many years, right, have created and really cultivated these partnerships with communities in such an authentic way, and really work every day to do that. So I just wanted to give you a moment, probably just, I know it's a big thing to try to cover in a few minutes, but just to address what has happened and sort of what SLF, the Snow Leopard Foundation's stance is on the situation.
Of course, this is a terrible incident. One female is killed, and two of her cubs are there also captured, and at the moment we do not know where those cubs are. So this is a sad moment, of course, for conservationists across the world. But at the same time, I think there are certain positive elements here. This area where this incident happened, this was known for poaching for a very long time. And all in past year, these kind of poachings were going unnoticed. So this is first time that the community itself, they came up, they identified the poacher, and they helped government to arrest them. So that is, I see this is a very positive development. and this is a great contribution of the community at large, which must be acknowledged. At the same time, I would like to, kind of commend the efforts of the wildlife department. They are highly vigilant for these species. When they got the news, they did not sleep. They reacted at once. They arrested the culprits and they gave the maximum punishments. And that is a strong message to the poachers in the area. We lost a highly valuable animal, that is true. But at the same time, a strong message has gone to the other poachers as well as the community has become more vigilant after this.
Yeah, that's very well said. And I just want to underscore that. I mean, like you said, the fact that it came to light and that this is something that because of these partnerships that are so deeply entrenched in communities, like feeling comfortable to come forward and share that information so action could be taken, does set that precedent. And it's happened, before without us knowing it or without any of the organizations that we partner with knowing it. So the fact that it is brought to light and that action is able to be taken swiftly is a huge deal and a testament to those partnerships and why it's so crucial to partner with communities in these areas. And I know somebody else, let me see, sorry, scroll down here. Let's see, wondering to some other efforts to kind of speak to that, how important to include locals, seeing good results. What steps do we take to include local people? And I know we talked about the vaccination program, but we have some other, community outreach efforts in Pakistan. I know like the SLE community, our Snow Leopard Enterprise community is in Chitral. So I just wanted to give you a couple minutes to talk about maybe some of the other community efforts that are happening in Pakistan that involve community-based conservation.
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, this is one of the tools that we are using for conserving snow leopard. There are a couple of other important initiatives, and they are complementary to each other. So through the vaccination, you are saving animals from diseases, but predation still is an important issue. So we are doing livestock insurance in several valleys where the people have to provide them a kind of a financial safety net, and they get certain kind of a compensation when the animal is lost. And as another thing, as I explained in the slide, is the major challenge comes when the snow leopard enters the corral and kills so many animals in single night. And solution towards that is building what we call a predator-proof corrals. We have designed really good engineered corrals. Those are expensive ones, but we have built them in several communities. And recently we have funding from the Global Environmental Facility. That project we are implementing with the Federal Ministry of Climate Change. And through this project, we are replicating these coral in so many valleys. At the same time, we are looking at alternative livelihood for the communities. One of that initiative is Snow Leopard Enterprise, and in Pakistan we're calling it Puna. We are promoting local handicrafts, building the skill and strength of the community, and making their own products and linking them to market. We have explored some other value addition things related to the dairy, their milk products and their livestock and so on. So there are multiple things going on. And we have a strong component of education. We work with schools in these communities. We have built this, nature clubs and smaller clubs. We keep engaged with the communities. We organize events. And research is another strong, uh, kind of aspect of our plan. We are doing camera trapping, genetics, and so many other things to better understand ecology and behavior of these species in these mountains.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, just to hear about that, right? In like 2 minutes, you talked about so much incredible work that's happening there and all of those layers and how they protect snow leopards by empowering communities in snow leopard habitat. So I think we're getting close to our wrap-up time. If we didn't get a chance to answer your question, we will be following up in the chat box. You can also email Snow Leopard social@snowleopard.org, and we will try to get you an answer as quickly as possible. And Ali, I want to come back to you in 1 second to say goodbye and to thank you again. It really is such an honor to work with you and learn from you over the years. And it's just, I want to thank you for everything that you do and that our teams do to protect this incredible animal. So thank you so much for that, and for being here today. So we also do like to end these chats with a call to action. And so I kind of mentioned at the beginning this breaking news. And one thing that we have done is launched a petition today. And the petition is going to environment ministers of the 12 snow leopard range countries, calling on leaders to take action to minimize disease transmission between wildlife and people. So I think with this pandemic, which is a global tragedy that we're all being affected by in immense proportions, we're reminded that we're all intricately connected. And so it's critical reminder that these close relationships between human and wildlife health need to be protected, both and at once. So snow leopards, may inhabit some of the last great mountain strongholds on Earth. And these mountains are not removed from this global pandemic, nor the risk for future outbreaks. In snow leopard habitat across the globe, people, livestock, wildlife, and live in very close proximity. They're sharing resources, pastures, habitats, water sources, and continued poaching and the trade of wildlife, including snow leopards, and other like threats, infrastructure, pollution, lack of resources for healthcare, the pressures of economic development all increase the risks of pandemic and make us more vulnerable to that. So the Snow Leopard Trust and our partners, we have a long history. I mentioned this earlier when we had lost Elby for a little bit about, our history of collaborating with governments on a really robust level and across many different bureaucracies. And so it's in that good faith and in those partnerships that we request the nations of the world and the leaders to prioritize healthcare support for local people in snow leopard habitat, undertake stronger conservation measures to disrupt poaching and illegal trade of snow leopards, wild prey, and associated mountain wildlife, create adaptive and sustainable livelihood income development programs, and usher in green and sustainable mountain development over extractive and damaging industries, and support disease research like we talked about today, surveillance and monitoring of these mountain ecosystems, which Ali really touched on so many of those in his presentation. So we thought this would be a great kind of place to launch this petition. And so by adding your name, you are taking a stance and change this trajectory of economic development and conservation in order to save humanity, protect snow leopards, and other magnificent mountain biodiversity on our planet. So we're just asking for you to take that stand today by signing this petition and sharing it with 2 friends, just sending it to 2 friends. If you learned something here today and you want other people to kind of learn the same things you did, please send them the link to this chat. It is also going to be saved on our Facebook page as well as on our blog. And so really like just spreading that word is so important as we really come together for global health today. And I just thank you for being here to do that. We're really excited. That just launched, I think it maybe even like an hour ago, if that's, so you guys are the first to hear about it. I'm still even getting kind of all those talking points about what that means together. So, but we didn't want to wait any longer to share that with our supporters. So thank you for that. And once again, Ali, I just wanted to thank you so much for being here today and give you a moment to say any last comments or observations. So I want to hand it over to you.
No, thank you so much to you and all the people who were here to listen to our talk and our career to answer very interesting questions.
Yeah.
And apologies for the technology issue. I did not realize when I get out of the presentation. So I just continue with my own, enthusiasm. I did not realize what happened to the technology.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. You got to the end and you're like, is anybody still there? What's happening? I'm sorry. Well, I'm sure your family who might be listening got to hear it twice, so that's good. Yeah, thank you. It was wonderful. It was, I think, PostTube had sent a little message that we were up to, I think, close to 300 people at one point, which is a great, it's a great number. And again, these get shared multiple times after. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and your time with us today. I really appreciate it. And thank all of you for sharing your time on this Friday. I wish you a wonderful weekend. Be healthy, be safe, and take care of one another. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.